back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday, and I have a very exciting episode for you with some amazing news for the interior design industry. Of course, if you've read the title of the episode, then you already know what the surprise is. Well, to share this great news and accomplishment, I have Sarah Daniele, Mydoma Studio CEO and co-founder, as well as Keith Granet, studio designer, CEO, both joining me on the show today. You already know that Mydoma is the premier platform for interior designers. It is a workflow software to organize design projects from beginning to end, as well as a thriving design community of some pretty amazing people. They have been a sponsor of this podcast for 8 years, and I've been extremely lucky and honored to call Sarah my friend. She has joined me on the podcast several times before, and we'll link each of those episodes in the show notes for you. Sarah hasn't always been a software designer and a tech CEO. She began her career as a designer like you. She saw a gap. Instead of muddling through, she figured out how to build a bridge and solve a problem. Creating Mydoma forever changed her path while paving the way for you to do better in your business. I know what Sarah's vision was for her company, and I'm so excited that she is right on track in achieving it. And also today, Keith Granet. Keith has dedicated his career to helping the interior design industry grow and thrive. He is the author of 3 books, including The Business of Design, and he is the co-founder of the Leaders of Design Council. I'm certain Studio Designer is no stranger to you. With over 15,000 users and 3 decades of experience, Studio Designer is the interior design industry's leading business management platform. Their end-to-end solution seamlessly integrates project management, design tools, client collaboration, product sourcing, and designer-specific accounting software. So, if you ask me why I'm excited for this acquisition, it's precisely because these 2 brilliant people have a shared goal, a goal that I have for you as well. We all want you to have an efficiently run, profitable, enjoyable business, and this is one more step in this direction for you. All right, I'm very proud and honored to welcome both Sarah and Keith to the podcast today. Well, I am so delighted to welcome you back to the podcast, Sarah Daniele, and welcome you for the first time, Keith Granet. Thanks for joining me on the show today, you guys.
Hi, Luann. Thank you for having me here. So excited.
Thanks, Luann. Really appreciate us being together.
Yeah, so we have big news. We have big news in River City, folks. That's what we have here. Sarah, you and I go back. We go back 8 years. You and the podcast go back 8 years. But maybe there's that one person out there that hasn't heard of Mydoma Studio. Tell us who Mydoma Studio is, why you are here with Mydoma Studio, and then we're going to get to the big news and what's really happening here.
All right. So Mydoma Studio is an all-in-one design management platform built specifically for design professionals. We give the tools for designers to begin their projects right through to execution, whether that's gathering their leads, creating their invoices, doing their product procurement, their design boards, their inspiration, all of it, from time tracking, you name it, we do it. We really want to just enable the designer to be able to spend less time on the things they don't like in their business and more time on the things they do love, which is really that creative process at heart.
Right. I know. I mean, we've talked many times on the podcast how being a working interior designer yourself, and you built this out of the needs of running your own interior design firm. So, knowing that their pain point exactly, like, let me just make beautiful things. Why do I have to do all this other stuff in the background? Right. We need it to go smoothly. So, before we get to you sharing your news, Keith, tell me about Studio Designer and what is Studio Designer?
So Studio Designer is the leading platform for the interior design industry to do all their back office. So like Sarah was saying, everything from accounting to project management, order procurement, time billing. And again, the difference between us is that we have a fully integrated system where accounting is part of it, which makes, it's probably a longer process getting fully onboarded than Mydoma. But we've been around for over 30 years and had many different names through the years, but we've been Studio Designer for a while now.
Okay. Okay. So, Sarah, I know you, and I know you as a person, as a businesswoman, as an innovator. And if you tell me something good is happening with Mydoma Studio, that's that you have me at hello moment. So tell me, what is the good thing that's happening at Mydoma Studio?
Mydoma Studio has decided to partner with Studio. It's funny because our names are so similar. No, but in all seriousness, Mydoma has been acquired by Studio, and this is a very exciting and positive moment for the design industry because, to Keith's point, Mydoma's customers and Mydoma's community is now going to get access to some pretty fundamental technology that we haven't been able to offer them. Luann, you've heard me say it. I don't want to build accounting software. I dug my heels in. I was not doing it. And here's the thing is that our designers are growing with us. And that has been the biggest joy over this journey for me to watch these very small designers starting out in business build and then first, quit their part-time job and then do it full-time, hire their first employee. And it has been honestly a pure joy without getting too emotional. But now they're at a threshold where they need something more sophisticated. And Mydoma was positioned to build that piece or look to a partner to fulfill the need. And that's where Keith and Studio really come in to give that need back to our designers.
Yeah, I can tell you that over the years, Keith, you and I don't know each other very well, but 40 plus years, my husband and I ran a custom window treatment company here in Livingston, New Jersey. And for almost from the inception, we were the window treatment retailer for many of the large New York City metro area designers. And when I tell you that your purchase orders have been coming across my desk for 30 years, I know it to be true. And, to Sarah, to your point, over the years, as you and I have become partnered and collaborating and all the things, the bigger, more established firms, that's what they would say to both you and I. I'm not leaving the accounting part. I'm not leaving that part. Like, I want it all in. And I know that we, like I said, the purchase orders and everything would come to us, and I could see it all through the years. So this is great. So this is good news, Sarah. You are, I know that you built this platform with the hope and dream of seeing it go to a certain spot, whether it was you that took it across the finish line or it would be an acquisition like this. You were always just, what is the best thing for Mydoma Studio? That I know to be true. And this partnership, I feel like, is the best in the space. This isn't like the second best person just went to the dance with you. This is the best company, right, Sarah?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly it. This is phenomenal for us. For our customers, we're just so happy because we now have a player that has the 30 years experience that can give that back to our community. All of our designers are going to get access to that at some point. There is no need to leave off the Mydoma platform. Let's leave that very clear. These are two separate companies, two separate offerings. But if and when you reach that threshold that you need something better, our teams are working to be able to make a cohesive integration to allow designers to make that transition nice and seamless. That's what we want. We don't want to create any chaos. We want it to be wonderful for them. And then,
okay.
yeah, you go.
No, so and I'm going to get to that whole, what does that mean? That's a couple of times you said two separate companies, choice to go or not go. We're going to pick that apart. But Keith, I'm curious for you. Like, you're her favorite, you're who she wanted, but what makes you interested and what made you, wanting to acquire Mydoma Studio? What's going on in your brain?
Well, it's a great question, and why acquire anybody. I think that what we realized is we want to cover the full life cycle of a designer's career, and so we sort of mimic it by saying that we want to go from day one to AD 100, and that way, what we've noticed about Studio is that because we are a fairly complex system, it takes a commitment to get on board, and the Mydoma product is a lot easier to get up to speed. And if you're a one or two person design firm, you need that ability, because you probably don't have the time to really engage at the level we see. And we've watched that for years as far as our retention in the 1 and 2 category versus, we have firms up to 100 people on the software. So for us, it really helped us build that early stage of a designer's career by having Mydoma as part of our portfolio.
Okay. And Sarah, I'm going to recall you to a conversation we had at dinner in New York City with Antonio that time, remember? And we had just left the Kravitz showroom. We had the Kravitz birthday party there, and a bunch of us went and had dinner. And I look at Antonio, and he's listening now. I look at him, I'm like, so are you on Mydoma? He's like, trying to decide between Mydoma and Studio, right?
Yep.
And so we're both open-minded, and we're like, well, what's the thing? And you remember him saying, it just what you said, Keith. It's a bear. It's how do I do it? But I know what was going on in his mind. Antonio fully intends to be that AD 100 guy. Like, this is a driven individual, a talented individual, and to your point, he's thinking, this is the bar in the industry. I should just go there. But it sounds like to me that both of you agree that getting your feet wet and getting your firm off the ground and trying to get the automation to help you get back to the design, Mydoma is the stepping stone to that, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
yep, take them through that journey, that whole journey from the very beginning, whether they're still in school, coming out of school, and as they grow, just have that be this beautiful transition that services their entire professional journey.
Yeah, yeah. So now talk to me about this. Two platforms. You can do this. You cannot do that. Like, who wants to explain? Because we've got studio designers listening and Mydoma listening. We're like, wait, what you talking about? Like, what does that mean? So, who wants to take that question?
Just what it means for how you pick or select which software. Is that what you're asking?
I guess if I'm currently a Mydoma user, what you're telling me is if I felt some growing pains, like I wanted that accounting level, I could just cross over, but I don't have to. Or if I'm like that, if I'm out there listening, what does it mean for me individually? Like, I guess, okay, how about this? When I heard about this, I just assumed somehow some magic button was going to be pushed and the technologies were going to merge, and now we just log into one dashboard. Like, duh, right? Like, right. Hello, not a computer person. So now that I realize how naive that was, what does it look like? How is it going to work?
It's going to be, Sarah, I guess I'll take this right. So it's going to be, we're going to keep the companies separate, but we're going to create an integration so that at some point when a designer says, okay, I want full-on accounting, I want it to be fully integrated, we will be able to migrate their data over to Studio and set them up that way.
Okay. So at any point in time, I, as a firm, can choose to do that. I'm ready for it. I want it. And then I don't have to start out from scratch, like as if I had been a Mydoma user and now I decided to upgrade and change my world or change my platform to Studio, right? Now you're going to take care of that.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
Now, will there be conversation? Because Sarah, you know what I'm thinking now is I'm thinking of all the men and women that we know very well that use Mydoma, and who helps them beyond their own pain point, beyond their own, like, I'm feeling the growing pains, is there going to be conversation, counsel, information on it's good for you to switch if this?
Yeah, I mean, let's just build on that a little bit. So I think the first thing that's going to happen is I just want to address that nothing's going to change, right? Like our Mydoma
Okay.
community, you are going to log into Mydoma, nothing, your pricing isn't changing, your experience isn't changing, your customer service is staying the same. It's business as usual. Come on in
Huh?
and keep using the product. But and maybe Keith could build on this a little bit, but Studio is a much larger company, and the Mydoma community is now going to have access to more resources. So now maybe perhaps we can have people can have conversations about your business is expanding, or maybe you need this module, or maybe we could better help you on this side, like from the payment processing standpoint. There's just so much more value now that the Studio product can offer, and the team members can work with Mydoma designers to help them in their business. So yes, to your point is like, yeah, there will be further help to help them if they're not ready to expand, but they know they might, maybe they need some help. That'll be available.
And if I'm on neither platform at this point, is it logical to assume that if I'm designer A and I already have 5 employees and I somehow have managed to not be on any platform to all the way to 5 employees, that is it like a blanket-ish sort of statement? Well, if you're 5 people already, you probably want to just go and do Studio and onboard there. Or you're a solo, you probably want to go there. Or if I aspire to 5, start here. Is any of that a relevant question to ask? Or because I just feel like, you know what I do when I do these interviews? I pretend I'm them. I pretend I'm the designer that has 1 employee. I pretend I'm the designer that has 10. And I'm like, what do I need to know? So would you, knowing that both companies are still going to stay intact and both platforms are going to stay intact, based on the what you were talking about, the positives and the differences, would you direct somebody, or would you say, look, you're probably eventually going to end up on Studio, so if you're new, come in and learn Studio? Like, what's that like there?
And I do think that's the approach, is that dependent upon the size and the sophistication of the firm, that we would say, this is appropriate for Studio or this is appropriate for Mydoma, and that you will have the opportunity. But if they are on that cusp where they really feel like they need that fully integrated system, then we would probably recommend that they go in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think to your point here, Luann, is that this is what's so beneficial now. They're going to have people that can help them, navigate the decision that's right for their business, because they now have 2 products that fulfill the entire workflow. And ideally, in the near future, that integration will be built and make it even more seamless. So navigating what to choose becomes so much easier.
Okay. No, like there's no downside, is what you're saying. Correct. You kind of, okay. And when you say in the near future, right? And it might be, you're like, look, this is a minute. Like, we don't know when the near future is. But is there, if I'm a Mydoma user now and I have 3 or 4 and I'm like, whoa, this is the best thing ever because I really wanted the accounting, what can I expect? Is it, I don't know, is this a 3-month thing, a 6-month thing, a year thing before you're able to say, let's integrate you? Like, again, knowing nothing about technology.
Well, there's a lot to explore here and to really understand each other in order to commit to a certain timeline. It's probably, wouldn't you say, Sarah, a year away before we probably have it fully integrated and ready to go?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good, reasonable expectation.
Yeah. And it could change by all the things that happen in a year. Like, I'm hearing myself. I'm like, you're asking the question for 6 months from now, right? It's like, it's that sort of a thing. So, okay. And then, I'm hearing this vision of, we're from start of your company, from design school all the way to AD 100. Is there other things that are playing into this as far as vision and strategy that you're considering or that we would be excited to know about? Or is it the crux of it is that 2 companies that serve 2 different markets in the design industry are now under one roof?
I think there's 2 things to it. Definitely that piece. You're right, the 2 coming together to finish that. But I think it also gives us the opportunity, with so much changes in technology right now, to now work together, right? So now you don't have 2 separate companies trying to solve similar problems, you have two companies coming together as one to solve these problems, which means you're going to expect better results. They're going to be quicker, going to be better, going to be faster, and probably more innovative because you're putting all the powerful minds together. And that truly excites me for the design industry. You know, I don't like stagnant. I like to move. I like to
No.
create. I like to solve. And that truly excites me is that coming these great minds coming together to solve these things. So I think it's kind of a double answer where you're going to get some really
Yeah.
interesting innovations that are going to come out.
Yeah. I'm picturing like we've got all the mad scientists at Stanford and all the mad scientists at MIT, and they're not all racing to try to find the thing first. They're drinking there together, right? Like we're all doing it together, right?
Well, I've also, my entire career has evolved around creating better systems for the business of design, like so that designers, and Sarah said this, I think, earlier, is that we really want, our motto is that we create, sort of creative careers through the ability
Love that.
to um, make them more efficient to allow them to do what they do best, which is design. And so by enhancing this program to run your business, it actually allows you to design more and spend more time on that because you're not worried so much about how the books are set up or how your processes go because they're really very efficient and it frees you up to design.
Yeah. So that makes me wonder, Keith. 30 years ago, you started this company. What was your motivation from it? Were you a tech guy? Were you in the design industry? Like, how did you come up with Studio Designer?
So just to be clear, I did not start the company 30 years ago. I've known the company for 30 years, and the original founder came to me about 8 years ago and said, I've brought this to the cloud. There's all this data, which I was fascinated by, and I need to grow it, but I don't necessarily have the bandwidth to do it. Would you like to join me? And that's
Oh,
when we acquired the company from the founder.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what was your previous experience? Out of industry and all tech, or industry experience too?
It's all industry. So I started out working at the firm Gensler a million
Oh,
years ago for worked for Art Gensler. I think 6.5 of the 8 years I was there, and really learned the business of design. And then I started a management consulting practice, which still actually exists today. And I probably worked with over 400 firms throughout the country and actually the world in just better business practices, strategic planning. And then that led to writing 3 books about the business of design. And then I started Leaders of Design, which is a organization for principals that travel around the world to a conference. We just got back from Stockholm. It's networking and lifelong learning. And then, from that, it led to me creating something called Fred Siegel Home, which is a retail operation that lets designers launch unique product. So they're all sort of very tied together. And studio is probably the biggest piece of all of that. But what I like to say is there's no firewall between my businesses. They support each other quite a bit.
interesting. Interesting. I love it. It's so fascinating, all the different aspects of the business part of design that you have been involved in and in contributing to the industry. That's awesome.
No,
Very
it's
cool.
been
Very
sort of
cool.
a lifelong mission to
Yeah.
improve. I remember the first time I used to teach a lot at UCLA, and the first time I heard whoever was running their pro practice class literally didn't know how to use a computer and had I don't know, 9-part, whatever that, uh, those journals were that you would put your accounting in, and then you'd have all the receipts. And I'm like, wow, you're still teaching that, and thought, we need to improve this, and actually went on to bring in leaders of some major firms to actually change the curriculum at UCLA to teach designers the importance of business.
See, that stuff makes me I just get so fascinated about that. I love when somebody sees a gap And instead of saying that stinks, they go and do something about it. Hey, you're not teaching computers here. Let's get some smart people over here and let's do that. I mean, that's just what you did with Mydoma, Sarah. You're running your business and you're just like, there's got to be a better way than all of these spreadsheets and Excel ledgers and everything else, right?
But you see, this is exactly why I'm so genuinely was interested in working with Studio. Like, just listen to Keith's story. You're like in awe, right? Because this is a very smart individual who has so much experience. And I think this is where this marriage happens. And it's just so great because I've been passionate about this forever, but I'm a lifelong learner and I don't know all the answers. And I am genuinely, I love hearing the passion behind it and solving the problems. Like, this is going to be a really great partnership to do that.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if you guys are seeing it or feeling it, but it's almost like Sarah's a version of you 30 years ago. That same innovative spirit, sees a gap, coming in and doing it, has a passion for the industry, and is not going to be on the sidelines and say, too bad there isn't this thing or this product or this solution. You're both the people who sit up and say, let's make the product, let's make the solution. It's just, I don't know, like I get like super excited around smart people like you guys.
Well, thank you for all those compliments. I appreciate that. But it's thinking on a daily basis that, because I, touch all these designers through my consulting practice as well and hear from them where their pain points are, and being able to bring that back to the software company and say, we've got to improve this, whether it's time billing or they need a new feature, always sort of thinking about how is this process going to be more and more efficient to allow designers to do their best work.
It's interesting. It's so fascinating. I love it. So, I don't think that this is going to be a thing, but there's somebody out there thinking it. Like, do we have to worry about data and security, privacy? Like, I'm in Mydoma, I don't want Studio to know, and Studio like the crazy things that people think about. Not to minimize data and security, privacy as an issue, but it doesn't sound like it's a thing, right? Here?
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that. Not at all.
No, I know. I just, you have to ask the questions. Okay. Now, Sarah, what I'm interested to know is you have created such a brand. And of course, Studio Designer has a brand also. And we all know who they are. We all know what you do. We all know that you're, the leader here and the big dog in the room. But Sarah, you have such a personal brand, like personal relationships, like the names and the people and all the things. And Keith, you may as well. I just don't have the advantage of having known you 8 years the way I know Sarah. But I can't imagine High Point Market without Sarah, like setting up a panel discussion and getting all the people together, and Sarah having a party at the bowling alley for all the Mydoma people. Come on, like darts and corn dog and all this stuff. So, I mean, what happens with all of that? Like do you have two different company cultures and two different company brands, and how does that happen? And or is this again, like, ask me in 6 months and maybe I can answer this?
Such a great question. A little bit on the brand, and I think this is what excites me so much. I'm going to say that a lot. But Mydoma is not going anywhere. And I think what made me so excited about in the formation of this partnership or this deal structure was that they valued Mydoma's brand and what we've built, our voice. They recognize the work that we've done in the community, right? And I mean, that's the result of building a business up. That's the result of not building a business to sell, right? When you build a business to grow a business, I think your brand is really, really important. And they value that. And that to me means the world, because I think our designers have come to love and know what we stand for. And that doesn't go anywhere. This is not an acquire and shut down and disappear, right? Those happen sometimes, and sometimes they need to happen. And that's okay. But I think what's clear is that the brand that we built, the voice, is staying around. You can't get rid of me that easily.
Well, I'm already daydreaming when your contract said become work for me. I'm just saying. So, Keith, how much were you aware? You obviously are a smart guy. I'm sure you looked at books and numbers and members and all of the ROI and all of that stuff. But how much were you aware of Sarah's presence in the industry and how beloved she is as an individual human, that when she walks into a room of 100 designers, they know her and they attribute a lot of their business success on her having taught them process and system through using Mydoma Studio. Because like you said, it's a lot of the designers at the beginning of their career, they come with no process. And by learning Mydoma, it literally teaches the process. Were you aware of that?
I mean, to some extent, we were very impressed with Mydoma. We did our due diligence and felt like there was great synergy there. And the fact, knowing what sort of Sarah's mission was and the ability to address who maybe the user we weren't addressing as much, made it very fascinating for us. We have our eye on, everybody in the marketplace, and
Would think.
not to necessarily purchase everybody, but certainly what they're doing and staying. That's the way you stay sort of fresh and nimble, is you constantly know what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always paying attention. People come and go all the time in this marketplace, and we've seen people who've tried really hard for years that we've heard, well, we can't get our studio users over, and we know that we have a very loyal customer base. Yeah. As we're sure Mydoma has. So yeah. It's important to us that both brands are kept intact and that you have options. But like Sarah says, the resources that we'll be able to provide because of the size of our combined companies will be pretty terrific, and being able to service and innovate for the industry.
That's amazing. I mean, Keith, you can't imagine. I met this lady when she was like barely a baby. I mean, I remember when she turned 30, and I can't tell you how many years I knew her. And I'm like, wait, you're just 30? Like, you gotta be kidding me. She just, it's remarkable, Sarah, what you have come on to the scene and built and created, and then to attract a partner like Studio Designer to see the value of what you've done. And we all know they're the big dog. We all know, their value in the marketplace, and we all know the experience and expertise that's behind them. So for you to attract their eye and to create this, acquisition is pretty freaking fantastic, lady.
Thank you. Like we are over the moon excited, and our team is. And so I think that's the other piece, is what a great opportunity for our team. They get to be a part of a bigger organization now. Again, to Keith's point, more resources, and from a company culture, everybody's excited. And I've been privy to work with some of these people throughout working out the deal, getting to meet people, and I've got a pretty good indication of people, and I am genuinely excited. So I think our cultures are going to align quite well. There's already some inside jokes, which I'm pretty excited that those have happened already. But to be honest, I think that's really important, like synergy of like values, and those seem to be quite aligned, because that can be scary when you're joining another team. But we've been very welcomed by the folks at Studio, and it's early days, but it feels great.
So like if I call over to customer service in Mydoma, I'm still going to get Dixie, right? Like,
well, Dixie is a product manager now, so you might not get her.
Well, how about this way? How about whenever I call and I need help, I get Dixie. I don't care what her position is. How about that?
You still get Dixie. Yes.
I'm like, I don't even know her. She moves up the ladder to different positions. She's Dixie and she helps me.
This is true. She does help you, but yes.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it's so funny because part of a lot of the core questions that I expected to ask in the interview, I realize are probably 6 months to a year too early, right? Like that's my lack of understanding about technology companies and the way they merger. So I think for me, like I said, if Sarah's happy, I know we all should be happy, because she's a smart girl and she's not going to go someplace where her baby isn't going to be appreciated and valued, and all of the clients that she has built over these years. Keith, of course, your reputation in industry is next to none out there. So I think I'm speaking like a Mydoma person as if I'm a designer that uses it, but I am a Mydoma person, and I feel super fortunate that Sarah has decided to partner with you and for you to acquire this company. I don't know what I'm not thinking of, you guys. Like, we've got the culture established, we've got the benefits to the interior designers established. We have established that there is not going to be a problem, whether staying with Mydoma or staying with Studio. There's not going to be a problem when you're ready to graduate to Studio. Is there anything I'm not thinking of that is on both of your minds that you think should be shared with the industry or the individual clients that you have of your platforms?
I think you've pretty much covered it. Wouldn't you agree, Sarah?
Yeah, it's just more of all the great things that everybody loves. And I think that's just what's so great about it. It's just going to be more, and the industry is going to benefit from it. And that's
it's
exciting.
Something else. Yeah, it is. It's something else. Well, my congratulations to both of you. I mean, honestly, it's a match made in heaven, and I'm excited for the opportunities for the two of you that will come from this and from all of your combined clients that will benefit from this acquisition. I think it's absolutely, to the benefit of all of us in the industry. So thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing this big news and this big joy celebration with everybody. I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you, Luann. I appreciate it as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Luann.
And there we have it, a comprehensive look at the acquisition of Mydoma Studio by Studio Designer, straight from the visionaries behind this game-changing move. Again, I have to say to you, Sarah, how proud and happy I am for you on this huge achievement. From the very inception of your company, you have been singularly focused on helping designers do more designing and less adminning, and also enabling them to provide a professional client experience for their consumers. This sale of Mydoma Studio to Studio Designer is simply the next iteration of your goal. And again, congratulations. It's clear that this acquisition is not just a business transaction, but a strategic alliance aimed at serving the entire interior design industry at its highest level with its best interest in mind. Whether you are a solo practitioner just starting your entrepreneurial journey or an established firm with dozens of employees, the combined strengths of Mydoma and Studio Designer promise to provide tailored solutions for every stage of your career. I love how Keith put it, from day one to AD 100. This acquisition signals a new era of comprehensive support for all interior design professionals. Now, I know change can sometimes be scary. If you are a user of either of these platforms, do not worry. As you heard from Sarah and Keith, this merger is designed with your needs in mind. Mydoma will continue to operate as a separate entity, maintaining its unique brand identity and culture that you have come to love. Your pricing, invoicing, and overall user experience will remain exactly the same. As Sarah said, when you log into your account, it will look and function exactly as it always has. And when the technology becomes available to integrate over to Studio Designer, you will have the option to transition if you choose. And if you do, they will do all the tech for you. That's cool, isn't it? Now, there'll never be an obligation to do this. So if you already love Mydoma, this acquisition only means you will simply love it more, because now with the resources of Studio Designer behind you, you will have access to the exciting possibilities of enhanced features, improved customer support, and accelerated innovation. You know, the things that great minds and money can provide. As both Sarah and Keith mentioned, the bottom line for you, the Mydoma user and the Studio user, is that these are two excellent companies that service different sectors of the marketplace. They are coming together, joining forces, and creating an even better product. Also, as Keith and Sarah both emphasized, the goal is to create tools that allow you to spend less time on admin tasks and more time on creative work. Their focus on empowering you to do what you do best, design, while providing robust back-end support, shows exactly how aware they are of the industry's needs and challenges. I just love it. Congratulations to you both, Keith and Sarah. I'm so excited to see what the future holds. I really am looking forward to seeing the wonderful things that the two of you will create together. And thank you tons for joining me today to share and celebrate this exciting news with you both. I appreciate you. And thank you for showing up and tuning in today. I hope you are as happy for Sarah and Keith as I am. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.